Well, today is going to be a good day to go outside and practice those perspective drawing skills. It's going to be a good day. The first step is to find a good place to draw that shows perspective. As this young artist eyes the situation, he decides it's time to set up right here for a good view. It looks like he's going to use an easel and a drawing board to create this drawing. When first starting a perspective drawing, you have to very carefully eye out the convergent points by looking at the tops of the buildings. So after a few hours of work here, we're going to see what our artist has created for us. It doesn't look like it's going particularly well for this artist, but it's a part of art sometimes to learn from your mistakes and mature as a person. It's important to always try to do your best, and more importantly, to stay calm and try again when necessary. It's always important to find your happy place and stay calm. Oh dear. He's taking this a little hard. It's okay. Probably calm down any minute now and realize that sometimes mistakes are always a part of life. Oh dear. This, this is embarrassing. Okay, who hired this guy anyway? My goodness. He has totally lost his inner zen. This is getting out of control. Oh boy. Okay, so this video isn't exactly going how I thought it was going to go. I'm sure. Oh dear. Wow, some people really can't handle this, can they? My goodness. I think this would be a really good time to start talking about mental health. I think this particular gentleman may have some anger management issues that we need to discuss. And where did all of this stuff even come from? You have lost all your perspective, my friend.
What do you mean? What are you saying? I don't understand.
This is no ordinary perspective drawing. This is a two-point perspective drawing.
Maybe I have lost all my perspective things. So it's a two-point drawing?
You must learn the ways of the two-point drawing. It is the way.
Oh. So I gotta learn something new? Ah, man. I thought I had this down.
In the first drawing that we did, in the one-point perspective, our convergent point was in the center of the paper. That means it created horizontal lines for us. So one-point perspective uses a horizontal line Whereas in the 2-point drawing we're about to start, we're getting rid of that. We're actually making it a lot easier. This next drawing that we're about to do actually only uses 2 lines, a perspective line and a vertical line. There are no other kinds of lines. Look, see, this top line goes down to that left convergent point, whereas in the 1-point drawing we just did, it would have been horizontal, like this. We have now rotated the angle of the drawing, which makes it actually an easier drawing. The difference is you're now looking at the building on the corner instead of in front. So the convergent point always lands on the horizon line, as you can see in this drawing here. But what gets drawn above the horizon line, you can see the bottom of. And conversely, what gets drawn below the horizon line, you can now see the top of. Here is a print done by none other than M.C. Escher himself. In 1958, this painting was titled The Belvedere. This print is nothing more than just a simple 2-point drawing, but yet M.C. Escher tends to play around with our minds by bending the way the 2-point perspective should be working. Look at the ladder at the bottom and how it connects into the top. If you follow it from the bottom to the top, it looks like the building goes one direction. If you follow it from the top to the bottom, you'll notice that it goes a different direction. So if we look closely at the red line, you can see that that's a perspective line, and it's going to the first convergent point to the right side of the paper. Now as we highlight the left side of the drawing, you can see that the left convergent point is also off the paper, but still on the horizon line, blocked by the mountains. Earlier, we looked at an example of something that was drawn below the horizon line, and you could see the top of it. Now here is a drawing by M.C. Escher, where he moved the horizon line really high on the paper so that everything was below the horizon line. And look how you can see the top of all of the boxes and walls. And if you were wondering if there's such thing as a 3-point drawing, well, here's an example of that too. However, we won't be getting into this. To do our drawing, you're going to need a 12 by 18 inch sheet of paper, a ruler, and a pencil. Step 1 is to put in the convergent points. You need a left point and a right point. And my ruler in this part marks where the horizon line would probably be. The main thing that you need to remember is that we are only making 2 types of lines in this drawing. One is a perspective line and the other is a vertical. If you're making any other kind of line, you're doing it wrong. Now that I have my 2 convergent points set up and ready to go, now I can start making my first perspective line. Notice how my ruler is making contact with the left point, and now my ruler is making contact with the convergent point on the right. So what I have drawn now are 2 perspective lines. Now remember, we're only making 2 kinds of lines, so it either has to go to the left point, the right point, or be vertical. So a perspective line or a vertical line. I have to make certain that my ruler is making contact with the convergent point when I make my line. Now I'm going to make the height of the sidewalk by making this line here. I'm making it close to the other line so that it's not very tall. That way little old ladies don't just fall off the sidewalk and hurt themselves. So far, all I've made are perspective lines. Now it's time for my second type of line, which is the vertical line. Notice how I'm looking at the edge of the paper when I make this mark. Only 2 lines. Here's another bit of magic for you. As it goes to the back, it gets closer together, which makes it start to look realistic. Now we're going to draw the control cracks across the top of the sidewalk. This is often a part of the assignment that people mess up frequently. So the right side sidewalk goes to the left point. And as objects get closer to the convergent point, you'll notice that they start to get closer together to give it a more realistic look. Now we're going to draw the left side of the sidewalk tops. Now look, I'm lining up the right point instead. Okay, so now it's time to start my first building. This is going to be the corner of the building. And I'm looking at the right side of the paper to make sure that it's completely parallel before I make this vertical line. Now it's time for the other side of the building, which is going to go to the left point. So as you can see, your ruler almost always has to be on one point or the other, or you're making a vertical line like this. So now every time I start a new building, I'm going to start with the corner piece, just like this, that vertical line. Then I'm going to tie the right side to the right point, make my vertical line, and that's the right face of the building. Now I got to make the left side by connecting the left point to the left side of the building. Now it's time for my first door. On this face of the building, everything's going to go to the right point. So as I make my vertical line for the door, and I draw the top of the door, it's going to head off to the right point. And everything inside of that space is going to go to the right point. Any window, sign, or door. And now everything on the left side of the building is going to go back to the left point. So pretty much everything from this point on is just using the right point, left point, left point, vertical line, and you just keep it going. Remember, you're only making two kinds of lines. If your ruler's not touching the point, or you're not making a vertical line, you're probably not doing it right. So for our drawing, we need to have doors, windows, and signs on every building. You need to now start to design the space that you want to see. Start to be creative and come up with all kinds of things. Trees, animals, you name it. So a list of all of the assignments requirements can be found on the rubric. You can find those on the website or on this page. You will need to add 10 to 20 items that you come up with that are drawn in perspective, that are not doors, windows, or signs.